Monday, 6:47 a.m., the Chen residence, Upper West Side, Manhattan. Marcus Chen stands in the kitchen of their three-bedroom apartment, tie half-nodded, watching the coffee maker like it holds the answers to everything. Through the window, the city is waking up, a symphony of ambition, millions of people climbing their own ladders, each one convinced that the next rung will finally be enough. His daughter Sophie shuffles in still in pajamas, headphones draped around her neck. She's 14 now, caught between childhood and something harder. You're up early, again? Big week, sweetheart, quarterly reviews. Sophie pours cereal, her movements slow, deliberate. You always say that, every week is big. There's no accusation in her voice, just observation, which somehow makes it worse. Your game is Thursday, right? Soccer? Sophie pauses mid-pour. When she speaks, her voice is quiet. Dad, that was last Thursday. Season ended 2 weeks ago.
The words hang between them like evidence at a trial. Right, of course. I knew that. How did it go? We won districts. I scored the final goal. Marcus's throat tightens. That's amazing, Soph. I'm so proud of you. You would have known if you'd been there. She's not angry. That would be easier. She's resigned. Like she's already accepted that this is just how things are. Like she's learned not to expect him. Elena Chen walks in, still in her robe, holding her phone. Marcus's wife is beautiful. Not magazine beautiful, but the kind of beautiful that comes from genuine compassion. She runs a nonprofit providing legal aid to refugees. Work that matters. Work that pays almost nothing. Sophie, can you give Dad and me a minute? Sophie takes her cereal and leaves. Marcus watches her put her headphones on before she's even out of the kitchen, creating a world where she doesn't have to hear them negotiate around the elephant in every room. Elena sits down across from him, her expression careful. Elena, she's pulling away, Marcus. Marcus, I know, it's just, this quarter is critical. If I can hit these numbers. Elena, every quarter is critical. Every deal is crucial. And meanwhile, our daughter is learning that she's not. Marcus, that's not fair. Everything I do is for her, for you, for... Elena, is it? Or is it for your father? For that voice in your head that says you're never successful enough? Marcus's phone buzzes. Email notification. His eyes flick to it. Habit, instinct, compulsion. Elena sees it happen. See? You're not even here right now. Marcus, Elena, I'm trying. Elena, I know you are, but trying isn't the same as being. Look, I'm not asking you to quit. I'm just asking, are you happy? Does any of this make you happy? The question sits between them like a stone. Marcus realizes he doesn't know the answer. He hasn't known for years. Marcus, I need to go. Traffic will be... Elena nods, disappointed but not surprised. Yeah, go. He kisses her forehead. It feels like apologizing without words. Monday, 8:15 a.m., Chen and Associates Financial Tower, 42nd floor. Marcus's office is a monument to success. Awards on the walls, degrees from Columbia and Wharton, photos with CEOs and politicians. Everything perfectly curated to announce someone important works here. But there's one photo that doesn't fit the aesthetic. A candid shot, slightly faded. Sophie at 7, laughing, ice cream on her nose. Marcus is looking at her like she's the only thing in the world. He was different then, present, before the promotions, before the 70-hour weeks, before he started measuring life in quarterly earnings. His assistant, Janet, knocks and enters. Morning, Marcus. You've got back-to-back meetings starting at 9, but Patterson's office called. He wants to see you first, 8:30. Did they say what about? Janet smiles knowingly. No, but I heard the Singapore VP position opened up. Again. Third person in 2 years. Marcus's heart rate picks up. Singapore, VP of Global Operations. The role he's been positioning for since he joined the company 15 years ago. The role that would mean everything. Marcus, that's just speculation. Janet, Marcus, I've been doing this 20 years. When the CEO's office calls unscheduled and tells me to keep your calendar clear this afternoon, it's not speculation. After she leaves, Marcus sits at his desk and stares at that photo of Sophie, 7 years old, before the hospital, before the night that nearly destroyed them all. His phone rings. His father, David Chen, 68. Marcus, Dad, can I call you back? I've got... David speaks with the accent of someone who learned English as an adult, who still thinks in Mandarin. I heard from Daniel Wong. His son works in your building. The VP position. Is it true? Marcus, I don't know yet. Meeting with Patterson in 20 minutes. David, this is it, son. Everything we worked for,
Everything I sacrificed so you could have opportunities I never had. Marcus, Dad, I need to... David, when I came to this country, I had $47. $47, Marcus. I worked 3 jobs. Do you remember? You were 8 years old. You saw me leave for the factory at 5 in the morning, come home at midnight. Do you remember what I told you? Marcus recites from memory, the words worn smooth from repetition. You said, I work like this so you won't have to. David, yes, and now you have the chance to honor that sacrifice, to show it meant something. Vice President, Marcus. My son, a vice president. This is the American dream. Marcus, I haven't been offered it yet. David, you will be, and when you are, you say yes immediately. You don't negotiate, you don't hesitate. Men like us, immigrants and sons of immigrants, we don't get second chances. You understand? Marcus, yes, Dad. David, good. Call me after. The line goes dead. Marcus looks at the photo again. Sophie at 7, happy, uncomplicated. Then his eyes move to another photo. Sophie at 13, in a hospital bed, wrists bandaged, eyes hollow. The night she tried to end her life because she felt invisible, worthless, like a burden her parents worked around. The therapist's words echo in his mind. Your daughter needs stability, needs to know she matters. Another major disruption, another sign that work comes first. It could trigger a relapse. Marcus's chest tightens. Monday, 8:30 a.m., Executive Suite, 47th floor. Gerald Patterson, CEO, is 62, silver-haired, with the kind of presence that makes boardrooms nervous. He built this company from a small investment firm to a global powerhouse. He doesn't smile much. He's smiling now. Marcus, sit. Coffee? I'm fine, thank you. I'll get straight to it. Singapore operations are a disaster. We've lost 2 VPs in 18 months. Bleeding talent, losing clients, culture is toxic. We need someone who can rebuild from the ground up. Someone with operational excellence and cultural intelligence. Marcus feels his heart pounding. I see. We've reviewed every senior director in the company. Your name came up first, every time. Your performance reviews are flawless. Your teams are loyal. You deliver results without burning people out. That's rare, Marcus. That's very rare. I appreciate the confidence. Patterson, I'm offering you Vice President of Global Operations, based in Singapore. Immediate start. Full executive compensation package. Base salary, $850,000. Performance bonuses that could double that. Housing allowance. International schools for your daughter. Relocation completely covered. He slides a folder across the desk. The offer letter. Marcus's name already printed. Patterson, this is a 3-year commitment, minimum. After that, you're positioned for C-suite. You're 38, Marcus. By 42, you could be CFO. By 45, possibly COO. This is the path to the top. This is the path to everything. Marcus opens the folder. The numbers blur. His father's voice echoes. Everything I sacrificed. His daughter's face appears in his mind. You would have known if you'd been there. Patterson, I need an answer by end of business today. I know it's fast, but Singapore can't wait. We're losing $1 million a week in inefficiency. Marcus, can I ask, why did the last 2 VPs leave? Patterson pauses. There's a moment of honesty here. Patterson, the role is demanding, very demanding. 24/7 operational coverage. Time zone differences mean calls with New York at midnight, calls with Tokyo at 5 in the morning. It's not a job for someone who needs work-life balance. There it is, the unspoken message. This job will consume you. Marcus, I need to discuss with my family. Patterson, of course, but Marcus, opportunities like this don't come twice. You're being handed the keys to the executive floor. Don't overthink it. Monday, 12:30 p.m., Marcus's office. Marcus hasn't eaten. Can't eat. He's staring at the offer letter like it's written in a language he used to know but has forgotten. He opens his laptop, searches. American School Singapore tuition. $45,000 per year, covered by the company. He searches. Expat Life Singapore. Photos of gleaming skyscrapers, luxury condos, yacht clubs. A life of comfort, prestige, power. Then he searches suicide rates American teenagers. The statistics make him feel sick. He picks up his phone, calls Elena. Hey, how's your day? I need to talk to you, in person. Can you meet me? Elena, concern rising in her voice. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Can you come? I'm meeting with a client in an hour, but Marcus, you're scaring me. I'll come to you. Where's the nearest coffee shop to your office? The one on Amsterdam and 68th. Marcus, what's going on? Just meet me there in 30 minutes. Monday, 1:15 p.m. Coffee shop, Upper West Side. Elena is already there when Marcus arrives. She's in work clothes, but somehow still looks like herself. Authentically compassionate, grounded in a way Marcus sometimes envies. He sits down, slides the offer letter across the table.
Elena reads. Her face goes through several emotions. Surprise, concern, conflict.
Elena, Vice President, Marcus, this is what you've been working toward. Marcus, I know. Elena, the salary is, that's life-changing money. Marcus, I know. Elena looks up. But it's in Singapore. Marcus, 3 years, minimum. Elena is quiet for a long moment. What did you tell him? Marcus, that I needed to talk to you. Elena, and what do you want? Marcus, I don't know. That's why I'm here. Tell me what to do. Elena shakes her head. I can't do that. This is your career, Marcus, it's our life, our family. What do you want? Elena takes a breath. When she speaks, her voice is quiet but steady. You really want to know? Marcus, yes.
Elena, I want you to be happy, and you're not. You haven't been for years. You're successful, Marcus, but you're miserable. You come home exhausted. You're physically present but mentally absent, and I watch you die a little more every quarter.
Marcus, that's not... Elena, it is. And this job? She taps the offer letter. This would be worse. You know it would. 24/7 operations, time zones. You'd never sleep. We'd see you even less than we do now. Marcus, but the opportunity... Elena, for what? More money we don't need? A title that impresses people we don't care about? Marcus, we're comfortable. We live in Manhattan. Sophie goes to a good school. I love my work. What would this actually give us that matters? Marcus, security, legacy, a future. Elena, we have that. What we don't have is you. The words land like physical blows. Marcus, my father worked 3 jobs so I could have opportunities like this.
I know, and I love your father. But Marcus, you're living his dream, not yours. He wanted you to have choices, but you've turned those choices into obligations. What if I say no and regret it? What if this is the chance that never comes again? And what if you say yes and lose Sophie? What if 3 years from now, she's worse? What if the distance, the disruption, the message that work comes first again? What if that's what breaks her? Marcus's voice breaks. I don't know what to do. Elena reaches across the table and takes his hand. What do you want your life to look like? Not your father's life. Not what Patterson thinks your life should be. Yours. When you're 60, looking back, what do you want to have built? Marcus thinks. Images flash through his mind. Sophie graduating, laughing with Elena over dinner, mentoring the kids at the community center, watching their faces light up when code finally makes sense, feeling present, feeling alive. Then other images. Empty hotel rooms in Singapore, missing birthdays over video calls, Sophie's face getting more distant with each missed moment. Marcus, I don't know if I'm strong enough to say no. Elena, you're the strongest person I know. You're just scared, and that's okay. Marcus, everyone will think I'm crazy. Elena, everyone isn't living your life. You are. Marcus's phone buzzes. Text from his father. Have you given your answer yet? Don't wait. Say yes. He stares at it, then at Elena, then at the offer letter. Marcus, I need to think. Elena, okay, but Marcus, whatever you decide, make sure it's what you actually want, not what you think you should want. Monday, 4:45 p.m., Marcus's office. Marcus has been staring at his computer screen for 3 hours. The cursor blinks in an empty email. To Gerald Patterson. Subject, VP Global Operations, Singapore. His fingers hover over the keyboard. Dear Mr. Patterson, I am honored to accept your offer. He types it, stares at it. Sophie's voice echoes. You would have known if you'd been there. Elena's voice. We have security. What we don't have is you. His father's voice. Everything I sacrificed. The therapist's voice. Another major disruption could be devastating. Patterson's voice. This is the path to the top. And then, a voice he hasn't heard in years. A voice from Sunday school and late-night prayers. Jesus' voice. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world but lose his soul? Marcus deletes the acceptance.
starts again. Dear Mr. Patterson, after careful consideration, I must respectfully decline. He types it, stares at it. His phone rings. His father again. Marcus doesn't answer. Text from Janet. Patterson's assistant called. He needs your answer before 5 p.m. Conference call with Singapore board at 5:30. Marcus looks at the clock. 4:52 p.m. 8 minutes. He opens a new tab. Searches. What did Jesus say about work?
A verse appears. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Another. What good is it for someone to gain the whole world, yet forfeit their soul? Another. No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. Marcus reads them. Tears blur his vision. Marcus whispers to the empty office. What would you do? And then, the air changes. The hum of the air conditioning stops. The distant sounds of the city, traffic, sirens, construction, fall silent. The cursor on his screen stops blinking mid-pulse. Marcus looks up. The light has shifted. No longer the harsh fluorescent of office LEDs, but something softer, golden, like dawn light, but somehow eternal. He stands, walks to the window. The city is frozen. A taxi mid-turn. A pigeon suspended mid-flight. A woman on the sidewalk below, caught mid-laugh, coffee cup halfway to her lips. Marcus. What is this? A moment outside of moments. So we can talk. Marcus spins around. A man is sitting in the chair across from his desk. Not sitting like he just arrived, sitting like he's been there all along, and Marcus is only now seeing him. Jesus. But he doesn't look like the Sunday school pictures. No glowing halo, no white robes. He's dressed simply. Worn jeans, a carpenter shirt with sawdust still on the sleeves, work boots. His hands are calloused, scarred. He looks human, tired, but with eyes that seem to see everything, past, present, future, and the deepest parts of Marcus's heart. Marcus backing up against the window. I'm having a breakdown. The stress finally... Jesus with a small smile. You're not having a breakdown, though you've been close for years. Marcus. This isn't real. Jesus. What's real, Marcus? The office? The offer letter? The life you've built that's slowly killing you? Are those real? Marcus. Who are you? Jesus. You know who I am. You called out to me 30 seconds ago. Asked what I would do. Marcus, backing up against the window. This is impossible. Jesus, standing, calm and present. So is a universe that exists for no reason. So is love that makes people sacrifice everything. So is a daughter who survives when she wanted to die. You've accepted impossible things before, Marcus. Why not this? Marcus, what do you want? Jesus, I want to show you something. Before you make a choice you can't undo. Marcus, I don't have time. I have to answer by... Jesus gestures to the frozen city. Time isn't moving. We have as long as we need. He extends his hand. Jesus, walk with me. Marcus hesitates, then takes Jesus' hand. The office dissolves. They're standing on a beach. Not a tropical beach, rocky, working class. The smell of fish and salt water. Fishing boats pulled up on the shore, nets spread out for mending. Marcus recognizes it from countless Bible studies. The Sea of Galilee. Where are we? Where I started. Come. They walk along the shore. Marcus sees people working. Fishermen, merchants, families. It's early morning. The water is calm, reflecting the sunrise. Then Jesus stops, points. Two men are working with nets. Brothers, you can tell by the way they move in sync, knowing without words what the other needs. James and John, sons of Zebedee. Their father, Zebedee, is nearby. He's older, weathered, but sharp-eyed. This isn't a struggling operation. There are hired servants, multiple boats. This is a successful family business. Marcus watches John expertly repair a net. His hands move with the confidence of someone who's done this 10,000 times. They're fishermen. They're more than that. Look closer. Marcus does. He sees the weight in Zebedee's eyes as he watches his sons. Pride, hope, legacy. These boys are his retirement plan, his insurance, his immortality. Everything he built will live through them. Then Jesus. Not the Jesus standing beside Marcus, but a younger Jesus, walking along this same shore, approaches the brothers. Marcus and the present Jesus watch from a few feet away, invisible observers. Young Jesus stops, looks at James and John, and says simply, "Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men."
Marcus sees James and John freeze, just like he froze over his keyboard. James, looking at John. Did you hear? John, looking at their father. Father, we... Zebedee, approaching, voice careful. Boys, do you know who this man is? John, I've heard of him, the rabbi from Nazareth. They say he heals people, teaches in the synagogues. Zebedee, a wandering preacher with no home, no income, no future. What kind of life is that?
Young Jesus to the brothers, ignoring Zebedee.
I'm not offering you a life. I'm offering you your life, the one you were made for. James, but the business, our family, everything we've built. Young Jesus, what have you built, James? Or what has been built around you? There's a difference between inheriting a life and discovering one. Marcus feels those words in his chest. Zebedee, voice rising. I've given them everything. I built this business so they'd have security, stability. Young Jesus turning to Zebedee, not unkind, but firm. You built this business for yourself, which is fine. But now you're asking them to live your dream instead of finding theirs. That's not love, Zebedee. That's fear. Zebedee, I'm protecting them from foolishness. Young Jesus, or from freedom. The words hang in the air like a question that changes everything. John, voice shaking. Father, I love you. I honor everything you've sacrificed. But when he speaks, I feel something I've never felt here. Like I'm finally waking up. Zebedee to Jesus, desperate. What can you offer them? Uncertainty? Poverty? Shame? Young Jesus, purpose, presence, peace, and yes, hardship. Following me will cost them everything comfortable, but staying here will cost them something more precious, themselves. James to John, if we do this, everything changes. John, everything's already changing. I've been feeling it for months, like these nets are getting smaller, like there has to be more than this. James to Zebedee, tears streaming. Father, I'm sorry, but I have to go. John, we both do. Marcus watches Zebedee's face crumple. This is betrayal. This is abandonment. This is his sons choosing a homeless rabbi over the inheritance he spent his life building. Zebedee, if you leave now, you're spitting on everything I sacrificed. Young Jesus, gently. They're honoring your sacrifice by having the courage to choose freely. You gave them opportunities. Now they're using them. James and John step away from the nets. They don't look back. Zebedee stands there, surrounded by his boats, his servants, his successful business, and utterly alone. The scene fades. Marcus and present-day Jesus are back on the shore, alone. Marcus, voice thick. That was brutal. Jesus, yes. Marcus, Zebedee lost his sons because of you. Jesus, Zebedee lost his sons because he tried to own their futures. I just gave them permission to discover their own. Marcus, he was trying to give them a good life. Jesus, he was trying to give them his definition of a good life. There's a difference. Marcus walks to the water's edge, picks up a stone, turns it over in his hands. Marcus, you're showing me this because of the offer. Jesus, I'm showing you this because you're standing at the same crossroads, and you think it's between accepting the promotion or declining it, but that's not the real choice. Marcus, then what is? Jesus, whether you're going to keep living your father's dream or finally discover your own. Marcus, defensive. My father sacrificed everything so I could have opportunities. Jesus, I know, and that's beautiful. But Marcus, you've confused gratitude with obligation. You think the way to honor his sacrifice is to climb every ladder, accept every promotion, prove you're successful by his definition. Marcus, isn't it? Jesus, Zebedee sacrificed everything for James and John, worked brutal hours, built a business from nothing, and he thought the way they'd honor that sacrifice was by continuing his work. But you know what actually honored him? Marcus, what? Jesus, when his sons became who they were meant to be. When John later wrote, God is love, and whoever abides in love abides in God, that honored Zebedee more than 10,000 fishing boats ever could. Marcus, but John had to break his father's heart to get there. Jesus, yes, for a while. Let me show you something else. The scene shifts. They're still by the sea, but years have passed. The light is different, late afternoon. An older Zebedee sits on a rock, mending a net. His hands are slower now, more careful. John approaches. He's older too, weathered by travel and hardship, but his face radiates something Zebedee has never seen in any fisherman. John, Father. Zebedee, looking up, expression guarded. John, I heard you were in the area. John, sitting beside him. May I? Zebedee nods. They sit in silence for a moment. The waves, the gulls, the familiar rhythm of a life lived by the sea. John, I'm sorry it took me so long to come back.
Zebedee, you've been busy changing the world, or so I hear.
John, I've been trying to help people see what Jesus showed me.
Zebedee, pause. And what was that?
John, that we're loved. Not for what we do or what we build or what we achieve. Just loved, as we are. Zebedee's hands still on the net. John, Father, I need to tell you something. When I left, I thought I was abandoning you. I carried that guilt for years. Felt like I betrayed everything you gave me. Zebedee, you did leave. John, I did. But here's what I've learned. You gave me something more precious than this business. You taught me how to work with my hands, how to read the weather, how to be patient with what I can't control, how to work with others. All of that I use every day. Just differently. Zebedee, voice rough. I was so angry. John, I know. Zebedee, I thought you were throwing your life away. John, I know.
Zebedee, looking at John. But I was wrong, wasn't I?
You found something I never could. I see it in your eyes. You're at peace. I fished for 40 years and never found what you found in 3 years with that rabbi. John, you taught me how to fish. He taught me what to fish for. Zebedee tears now. I'm proud of you, son. I should have said it years ago. I'm proud you had the courage to leave. They embrace, and Marcus sees Zebedee's face. The relief, the pride, the love finally freed from expectation. The scene fades. Marcus and Jesus are alone again. Marcus, wiping his eyes. How long did that take? For Zebedee to come around? Jesus. 7 years. 7 years of wondering if he'd lost his son forever. 7 years of wrestling with his own definition of success. But in the end, Zebedee found something more valuable than a fishing empire. Marcus. What? Jesus. He found pride in his son's courage instead of pride in his son's compliance.
Marcus sits on a rock. Jesus sits beside him. Marcus.
My father is 68. He's spent his whole life working for my success. If I turn down this promotion, it'll break his heart. Jesus. Maybe, for a while, but Marcus, you're not responsible for your father's healing, only for your own integrity. Marcus. I don't want to hurt him. Jesus. I know, but you're already hurting someone. Your daughter, your wife, yourself. The question is, whose pain are you willing to prioritize? Marcus. That's not fair. Jesus. It's not about fair. It's about honest. You can't make everyone happy. So who are you going to disappoint? The person who's invested in your image, or the person who needs your presence? Marcus stares at the water. Marcus. What if I turn it down and regret it? What if I look back at 50 and realize I threw away the chance of a lifetime? Jesus. Chance for what? Be specific. Marcus. Success, influence, financial security, legacy. Jesus. You already have all of those things. What you don't have is joy. What you don't have is peace. What you don't have is the feeling that your life actually belongs to you. Marcus. So I should just quit? Walk away from 15 years of work? Jesus. I didn't say that. James and John didn't quit fishing. They just started fishing for something different. I'm not asking you to abandon your skills or your career. I'm asking you to use them for what you were actually made for. Marcus. And what's that? Jesus. You tell me, when do you feel most alive? Marcus thinks. Images flood his mind. Marcus. When I'm at the community center, teaching kids to code, watching them go from, I can't do this, to, I just built an app. When Jamal, this kid who was about to drop out, when he got accepted to college because I helped him, his voice breaks. Marcus. That felt like it mattered. Like I mattered. Not because of my title, but because of presence. I was there. I saw him. Jesus. That's your calling, Marcus. Not instead of providing for your family, but as how you provide what they actually need. Marcus. But that doesn't pay. Jesus. You have a director-level position at a Fortune 500 company. Your salary is $240,000. You live comfortably. Your wife works because she loves her work, not because you need the money. So when you say it doesn't pay, what you mean is it doesn't pay like VP. Marcus, defensive. There's nothing wrong with wanting to provide. Jesus. Nothing at all. But there's a difference between providing and proving. Which one are you doing? The question lands. Marcus, how do I know I'm not just being a coward, running from responsibility? Jesus, let me ask you something. When I called James and John, do you think that was running from responsibility? Marcus, no, you were calling them to something harder. Jesus, exactly. Walking away from the nets was terrifying. Disappointing their father was agonizing. And what followed? Years of uncertainty, persecution, danger? That wasn't the easy path, but it was their path. Marcus, so declining the VP role is my nets? Jesus, maybe, or maybe accepting it is. I'm not here to tell you what to choose, Marcus. I'm here to ask, what are you choosing and why? Marcus, I don't understand. Jesus leaning forward. If you accept this role, truly ask yourself, are you doing it because it's your calling, or because it's the next rung on a ladder you never chose to climb? Are you going to Singapore because your soul is pulling you there, or because you're terrified of disappointing people? Marcus, I'm terrified of both. Jesus, I know, but one fear comes from love, the other comes from shame. You need to figure out which is which. Jesus stands, extends his hand again. Jesus, one more thing. Come. Marcus takes his hand. They're in a hospital room. Marcus recognizes it immediately, his worst memory. Sophie, age 12, lies in the bed, wrists bandaged, face pale, eyes hollow. Elena sits in a chair, holding Sophie's hand, silent tears streaming. And younger Marcus, 2 years ago Marcus, stands by the window, phone to his ear, speaking in hushed, urgent tones. Younger Marcus on phone. I understand it's a critical deal, but my daughter is in the hospital. No, I can't be on the call tomorrow. Because she tried to kill herself, David. He hangs up, sits beside Elena. Younger Elena, voice dead. She left a note. Younger Marcus, what did it say? Younger Elena, handing him a crumpled paper. Read it. Present-day Marcus watches his younger self unfold the note, watches his face break. Present-day Jesus hands the note to present-day Marcus. He reads, Mom and Dad, I'm sorry I'm such a burden. I know you work so hard and I just make everything harder. Maybe if I'm gone, you can finally focus on what actually matters. I love you. I'm sorry I wasn't worth staying for. Marcus's hands shake. Jesus, do you remember what you promised her? Marcus watches his younger self lean close to Sophie's sleeping face. Whisper, baby girl, I'm here. I'm here now. And I swear to God, I will never put work before you again. I will be present. I will be here. You are worth everything. You are worth more than any job, any promotion, any success. I promise you. I promise. Sophie's eyes flutter open. She looks at him. Sophie's voice barely audible. You promise? I promise. On my life, I promise. The scene fades. They're back on the shore. But now it's dusk. The water is dark, reflecting stars. Marcus' voice destroyed. I broke that promise. Jesus, not completely. You've been better, more present. But Marcus, this promotion, accepting it would obliterate that promise. 3 years in Singapore, you'd barely see her. Midnight calls, time zones, 24/7 operations. You know what that looks like. Marcus, but she's better now. She's thriving. Maybe she doesn't need me as much. Jesus, she's 14, in the most vulnerable years of her life. And Marcus, she's not thriving despite you. She's thriving because you finally showed up. What happens when you leave again? Marcus, sitting in the sand. Why does it have to be either or? Why can't I have both, career and family? Jesus, you can, but not this career at this intensity, not this ladder. There are other ladders, Marcus, ones that don't require you to sacrifice your soul. Marcus, everyone will think I failed. Jesus, everyone isn't living your life. And honestly, Marcus, do you know what people will actually think? Marcus, that I couldn't handle it. Jesus, some will think that. Others will think you're brave. Others will think you're wise. And most won't think about you at all because they're too busy climbing their own ladders. Marcus, my father will be devastated. Jesus, maybe, for a while. But do you remember what Zebedee said to John? I'm proud you had the courage to leave. Your father might surprise you. Marcus, or he might never forgive me. Jesus, that's possible. But Marcus, you can't live your father's unmet dreams. He survived poverty so you'd have choices. But you've turned those choices into chains. He wanted you free. You've made yourself a prisoner. Marcus looks up at the stars. Marcus, what would you do? Jesus, I'd ask, which version of Marcus does Sophie need? The vice president who's never home? Or the father who keeps his promises? Marcus, both. She deserves both. Jesus, she deserves a lot of things, but she can't have a present father and an absent father simultaneously. You have to choose. Marcus, I'm so tired. Jesus sitting beside him. I know. That's what happens when you carry ladders you were never meant to climb. They sit in silence. The waves, the stars, the eternal rhythm. Marcus, if I say no, what comes next? Jesus, I don't know, and neither do you. But isn't that the adventure? Isn't that faith? Marcus, I've spent 15 years building toward this moment. Jesus, you've spent 15 years climbing towards someone else's definition of this moment. Now you get to define it yourself. Marcus, I'm scared. Jesus, good. That means you're finally making a real choice. Fear is what happens when you stop performing and start living. He stands, offers Marcus his hand. Jesus, it's time to go back. Your clock is still stopped at 4:52. You have your answer to give.
Marcus taking his hand. What if I choose wrong?
Jesus, there's no wrong choice, only honest ones and dishonest ones. Choose honestly, Marcus. Choose from your soul, not your shame. The shore fades. Marcus blinks. He's back in his office. The cursor is blinking. The clock reads 4:46 p.m. But everything has changed. Marcus looks at the offer letter, sees it clearly now, not as opportunity, but as obligation, not as blessing, but as burden. He opens his laptop, types, to Gerald Patterson, subject, VP Global Operations, Singapore. Dear Mr. Patterson, I am deeply honored by your confidence in offering me the Vice President of Global Operations position. This represents the culmination of years of hard work and dedication to this company. However, after careful consideration and prayer, I must respectfully decline. 2 years ago, I made a promise to my daughter that I would never again put career advancement ahead of being present in her life. Accepting this role, despite its professional appeal, would break that promise. And I've learned that a man who breaks promises to his family to keep commitments to his career has his priorities backwards. I remain fully committed to serving this company with excellence in my current capacity, but I cannot accept a position that requires me to sacrifice what matters most for what matters less. I understand this decision may impact my future advancement here, and I accept that consequence. With gratitude and respect, Marcus Chen. His finger hovers over send. This is career suicide. Your father will never understand. Patterson will write you off. You're throwing everything away. But then another voice, calmer, truer. Or you're finally choosing what you can't afford to lose. Marcus clicks send. Monday, 5:03 p.m. The email goes through. Marcus sits back in his chair. His hands are shaking. His heart is racing. What has he done? His phone rings within minutes. Patterson. Marcus. Hello? Patterson, voice cold. I just received your email. Marcus. Yes, sir. Patterson. Marcus, I'm going to be honest. I'm shocked and deeply disappointed. We've invested years in your development, positioned you for leadership, and at the critical moment, you're walking away. Marcus. I'm not walking away from the company, just from this specific... Patterson. You're walking away from advancement. You understand that, right? VP positions don't come around twice. This was your shot. Marcus. I understand. Patterson. Do you? Because from where I'm sitting, this looks like a lack of commitment, a lack of hunger. And Marcus, in this company, if you're not moving up, you're moving out. Marcus, steadier than he feels. Then that's a choice I'll have to live with. Patterson. We need leaders who are willing to sacrifice for the company. Marcus. I've sacrificed for 15 years, sir, but I finally realized I was sacrificing the wrong things. Patterson. Family is important, Marcus, but... Marcus. With respect, sir, there is no but. Family is important, period. And I'm choosing to live like I believe that. Long pause. Patterson. I hope you don't regret this. The line goes dead. Marcus sits in silence. The sun is setting outside his window. The city is turning golden. His phone buzzes. Text from Janet. Everyone's talking. Are you okay? Another buzz. Colleague. Dude, is it true? You turned down VP? Another. Chen, what were you thinking? The whispers have already started. Monday, 6:30 p.m., the Chen residence. Marcus walks in. Elena and Sophie are in the kitchen. They look up. Elena reading his face. What happened? Marcus sits down at the kitchen table, puts his head in his hands. Marcus, I turned it down.
Sophie, turned what down? Elena, sitting beside him.
They offered him vice president in Singapore. Sophie, confused. That's good, right? Marcus, looking at her. It would have meant moving to Singapore for 3 years. I would have been working constantly, different time zones, barely home. Sophie, so you said no? Marcus, I said no. Sophie, because of me? Marcus, taking her hand. No, sweetheart, because of me. Because I finally figured out what success actually means. And it's not a title. It's this, right here, with you and Mom. Being present, being here. I made you a promise, Soph, and I'm keeping it. Sophie's eyes fill with tears. Sophie, you gave up being a vice president? For me? Marcus, I didn't give up anything, baby. I chose what matters. There's a difference. She hugs him, sobbing. Elena joins them. They sit in the kitchen, holding each other, while outside the city rushes on in its endless pursuit of more.
But inside this apartment, in this moment, there is enough. That night, Marcus lies in bed, unable to sleep. Elena's hand is in his. Elena, you okay? Marcus, I'm terrified. Elena, of what? Marcus, that I just made the biggest mistake of my life. That I'll wake up in 10 years and realize I threw away everything I worked for. Elena, or you'll wake up in 10 years and realize you finally stopped climbing and started living. Marcus, my father is going to be so disappointed. Elena, call him. Marcus, not yet. I can't handle that conversation tonight. Elena, Marcus, look at me. He turns to face her. Elena, I have never been more proud of you than I am right now. You chose us. You chose integrity. You chose to be the man you promised to be. That's not failure. That's courage. Marcus, Patterson said I'm moving out if I'm not moving up. Elena, then you'll find something else. You're brilliant, Marcus. You have options. Marcus, not like this. No, better than this. Options that don't require you to sacrifice your soul. They lie in silence. I saw something today, or had a vision, or a breakdown, I don't know. But I saw Jesus, and he showed me James and John leaving their father's fishing business to follow him. And I realized Zebedee thought his sons were throwing their lives away, but they weren't. They were finally finding them. Maybe that's what you just did. Or maybe I'm a 38-year-old man who just committed career suicide because I had a stress hallucination. Either way, I'm with you. He kisses her forehead, and for the first time in years, falls asleep without his mind racing through tomorrow's emails. Tuesday morning, Marcus arrives at work to a different atmosphere. Colleagues avoid eye contact. Conversations stop when he enters rooms. He's been marked. Patterson removes him from high-profile projects. His opinions in meetings carry less weight. The trajectory he'd been on, upward, inevitable, flatlines. Younger colleagues who were once his juniors start leapfrogging past him. Promotions he would have been considered for go to others. At the executive retreat in November, he's not invited to leadership sessions. Marcus becomes invisible. And it's humiliating. Tuesday, 3 days after the decision, lunch with a friend. Marcus meets Daniel Wong, his college roommate, for lunch. Daniel, everyone's talking about it, man. You're either crazy or brave, and nobody can figure out which. Marcus, what do you think? Daniel pause. Honestly, I think you're lucky. Marcus, lucky? I just tanked my career. Daniel, you made a choice. Most of us never do. We just keep climbing because we don't know how to stop. You actually chose something. That's rare. Marcus, doesn't feel lucky. Daniel, give it time. Thursday, 2 weeks after, dinner with parents. Marcus finally agrees to dinner with his parents. His mother, Susan, is warm but worried. His father, David, is silent through most of the meal. Finally, over coffee. David, I don't understand. Marcus, Dad, David, I worked 3 jobs. 3 jobs, Marcus. 16-hour days so you could go to college, so you could have opportunities. And when you finally get the opportunity, you throw it away? Marcus, I didn't throw it away. I made a choice. David, the wrong choice. Marcus, for who? For you or for me? David, voice rising. For
For your family, for your future, for Marcus. I have a family, Dad, Sophie and Elena, and they needed me present more than they needed me promoted. David, Sophie is fine now. You could have Marcus. She's fine because I've been here, because I finally kept my promise. And if I'd left for Singapore, who knows what would have happened. David, you're using your daughter as an excuse. She's not an excuse. She's the reason. Dad, 2 years ago, she tried to kill herself because she felt invisible. Do you understand that? My ambition almost cost me my daughter. David silent, jaw tight. I know you sacrificed for me, and I love you for that. But Dad, I can't live your dream. I have to live mine. And my dream isn't a corner office. It's being there when Sophie scores a goal. It's having dinner with my wife. It's mentoring kids who need someone to see them. That's not success, Marcus. That's settling. To you, maybe, but to me, it's finally winning. David stands up. Call me when you come to your senses. He leaves. Susan, reaching across the table. He'll come around. Give him time. What if he doesn't? Then that's his loss. But Marcus, for what it's worth, I'm proud of you. I wish your father could see what I see. What do you see? Susan, a man who finally stopped performing and started being.
3 months after the decision, Marcus increases his volunteer hours at the Riverside Community Center. What was 2 nights a week becomes 4. He teaches coding to at-risk youth, kids from the projects, from broken homes, from systems that have written them off. One student, Jamal, 16, is brilliant but angry, failing school, 1 foot in gang life. Jamal, after class one night, why do you do this? Marcus.
What do you mean?
Jamal, you're some corporate dude. You don't need to be here teaching kids like me. So why? Marcus.
Because someone needs to see you, to tell you you're capable of more than what your zip code says you are.
Jamal. That's some after-school special BS.
Marcus. Maybe, but it's also true. You're brilliant, Jamal. You pick up Python faster than guys I work with who have computer science degrees. But you're wasting it because you think it doesn't matter. It doesn't. I'm not going to college. I'll work at Burger King or end up locked up. That's how it goes. Not if you decide differently. Look, I can't change your circumstances, but I can show you what's possible. The question is, are you willing to believe you're worth the effort? Jamal doesn't answer, but he shows up the next week, and the next, and the next. 5 months after, Sophie's birthday. Sophie turns 15. The family goes to her favorite restaurant. As they're eating cake, Sophie puts down her fork.
Dad, can I say something?
Of course.
I've been thinking about what you did, turning down that job, and I realized something.
What's that?
You taught me that I'm valuable, not because of what I achieve or what I do, but just because I'm me, because you chose me over something huge. And Dad, that changed something in me. I don't feel invisible anymore.
Marcus's eyes fill with tears. So thank you for keeping your promise. Elena squeezes Marcus's hand under the table. In that moment, Marcus knows, whatever the cost, he chose right. 6 months after, the email. Marcus is at his desk when an email arrives from Jamal's school counselor. Mr. Chen, I wanted to inform you that Jamal has been accepted to City College with a full scholarship. His essay about a mentor who saw potential when everyone else saw problems moved the admissions committee. He specifically named you. You changed this young man's life. Thank you for showing up. Marcus reads it 3 times, prints it, tapes it to his wall. This is success. 8 months after the decision. Marcus is in a team meeting when Janet interrupts. Marcus, Patterson's office called. He wants to see you. Now. The room goes quiet. Everyone knows what that means. Marcus is being let go. He walks to the elevator, accepts his fate. Patterson's office. Marcus enters. Patterson is at his desk, but he's not alone. Dr. Helen Morrison, the head of HR, is there too. This is it. The severance conversation. Patterson. Marcus, sit. Marcus sits. Patterson. I'll get straight to it. The Singapore operation is a disaster. We brought in your replacement, young, hungry, ambitious, everything we said we needed. Marcus. Okay. Patterson. He lasted 4 months. Quit last week. Burnout. Said the role was inhumane. That we're asking people to sacrifice their lives for a company that doesn't care about them. Marcus says nothing. Patterson. Before he left, he sent a company-wide email. It went viral internally. He said, "I should have had the courage Marcus Chen had, to say no to a promotion that would have destroyed me." Marcus, looking up, surprised. He said that?
Dr. Morrison.
He did. And it sparked a conversation we've been avoiding about culture, about sustainability, about whether we're building leaders or just burning through people. Patterson. Marcus, I was angry when you turned down that role. Felt like betrayal. But I've been watching you these past 8 months. Marcus. Watching me get sidelined? Patterson. Watching you choose integrity. And honestly, it's made me ask questions I didn't want to ask. Like, what kind of company forces people to choose between career and family? What kind of success costs people their souls? Marcus doesn't know what to say. Patterson. We're creating a new position, Director of Leadership Development and Culture. We want you to build a different kind of leader. Teach them what you learned, that success isn't just climbing, that sustainable leadership requires presence, not just performance. Marcus. That's a lateral move. Same pay grade. Patterson. Same pay grade, yes. But Marcus, it's work that actually matters. It's using your 15 years of experience to reshape how we think about success. It's mentoring the next generation to lead differently. Dr. Morrison. And it's based here, in New York, 9 to 5. Actual work-life balance. Because if we're going to talk about culture change, we have to model it. Marcus feels something unfamiliar. Hope. Marcus. You're serious. Patterson. Completely. Look, I don't know if I'll ever fully understand your decision, but I respect it. And I think this company needs what you have, the courage to redefine success. Marcus. What about advancement? Future VP opportunities? Patterson. Honestly, I don't know. Maybe this path doesn't lead to the C-suite. Maybe it leads somewhere better. But Marcus, you stopped chasing promotions 8 months ago. Are you really going to start again now? Marcus laughs. Real, genuine laughter. Marcus. No, I guess I'm not. Patterson. So, will you take it? Marcus. Yes, absolutely yes. Part 9. The Reconciliation. 10 months after the decision, Marcus is at his desk in his new role when his assistant knocks. Assistant. Marcus, there's someone here to see you. Says he doesn't have an appointment, but... David Chen walks in. Marcus stands, stunned. David. Can we talk? Marcus. Of course. Come in. They sit. Awkward silence. David. Your mother told me about your new role. Marcus. Yeah, it's different. Good different. David. I've been thinking about what you said. About living my dream versus yours. Marcus. Dad. David holding up a hand. Let me finish. When I came to America, I had one goal. Give my son opportunities I never had. And somewhere along the way, I confused opportunities with obligations. I thought the way you'd honor my sacrifice was by achieving what I couldn't. His voice breaks. David. But I watched you these past months. Saw you with Sophie. Heard about your work with those kids at the community center. Your mother showed me the article about Jamal getting into college. And I realized you didn't throw away my sacrifice. You used it to become someone I never could. Marcus. Tears streaming. Dad. David. I'm proud of you, son. Not because you almost became a VP, but because you had the courage to choose what mattered. I worked 3 jobs so you'd have choices, and you made one, the right one. Marcus. I was so afraid you'd never forgive me. David. I was afraid I'd lost you to ambition. Turns out, I got you back. They embrace. And in that moment, a decade of unspoken tension dissolves. David, pulling back. Tell me about this new role. What does a director of leadership development actually do? Marcus, smiling. I teach people how to lead without losing themselves, how to be successful without sacrificing what matters, how to climb the right ladder. David, sounds like something I should have learned 40 years ago. Marcus, it's something we all need to learn. Present-day Marcus, 43, stands in front of a conference room. 20 young professionals from across the company sit before him. Marcus, welcome to Leadership Foundations. Over the next 6 months, we're going to talk about what leadership actually is. And, spoiler alert, it's not what you think. He clicks to a slide. What are you building? Marcus, 5 years ago, I was offered Vice President of Global Operations. Dream role, dream salary, everything I'd worked for. And I turned it down. Murmurs in the room. Marcus. Not because I was lazy, not because I couldn't handle it, but because I asked myself a question. What am I actually building? And I realized I was building my father's dream, not mine. I was climbing a ladder I never chose, and at the top of that ladder was a life that looked impressive, but felt empty.
Young professional number 1. So you just walked away? Marcus. No, I walked toward presence instead of promotion, toward purpose instead of prestige. And you know what I found? Success that actually satisfies. He clicks to another slide. The right ladder. Marcus, there are infinite ladders in life. The question isn't, am I climbing? It's, what am I climbing toward? Because you can reach the top of the ladder and realize it's leaning against the wrong wall. And that's the most successful failure there is. That evening, community center. Marcus teaches his coding class. 30 students now, ages 12 to 18. A waiting list of 50 more. Jamal, 21, stops by. He's home from college for break. Jamal. Mr. Marcus, got a minute? Marcus. Always. How's City College? Good. Actually, that's why I'm here. I'm declaring my major, computer science. And after I graduate, I want to do what you do. Teach kids like me that they're capable of more than their circumstances. Jamal, that's incredible. You saved my life, Mr. Marcus. When I was 16, I was headed nowhere. You saw something in me I didn't see in myself. So I'm going to pass it on. Pay it forward. They embrace. You're going to change lives, Jamal. I learned from the best. After he leaves, Marcus sits in the empty classroom, thinks about that day 5 years ago, cursor blinking, choice looming. He made the right call. That night, Chen residence. Marcus comes home to laughter. Sophie, 19, is home from Columbia University. She's studying social work. Dad, come read this. She hands him her laptop, an essay for class. The day my father chose me. Marcus reads, when I was 14, my father was offered his dream job. Vice President, Singapore. Everything he'd worked for. And he said no. Not because the job wasn't good, but because I was better. That decision changed my life. It taught me that success isn't what you achieve, it's what you value. And my father valued me more than a title. He chose presence over prestige, being there over being impressive. I almost didn't survive my 14th year, but I'm here now because my father kept a promise. And that taught me something I carry every day. I am valuable, not for what I do, but for who I am. That's the legacy I want to leave. Not awards or achievements, but presence, just like my dad. Marcus wipes his eyes. You okay? I'm perfect, sweetheart. Absolutely perfect. Elena calls from the kitchen. Dinner's ready. They gather around the table. Marcus, Elena, Sophie. No phones, no emails, just presence. Marcus looks at his family, thinks about the life he almost chose. The corner office in Singapore, the title, the salary, the ladder he didn't climb. And he feels zero regret. Because this ordinary dinner with his extraordinary family, this is success. On Marcus's wall, beside his degrees and awards, hangs a simple frame. Inside, 2 things. 1, a photo of James and John walking away from their nets, following Jesus along the shore. 2, a quote. True success isn't measured by how high you climb, but by whether you're climbing the right ladder. Underneath, in Marcus's handwriting, the greatest promotion is becoming who you were meant to be. Below that, a letter from Sophie, framed. Dad, you taught me that I'm valuable, not because of what I achieve, but because I'm loved. That changed everything. Thank you for choosing me over a title. I'm who I am because you became who you are. And finally, at the bottom, a small sticky note, faded and worn. What would Jesus do? Marcus looks at it every morning and remembers. In a world that measures worth by titles and bank accounts, Jesus asks a different question. What are you building? And who are you becoming in the building? The world offers you ladders. Climb this, achieve that, prove yourself, earn validation, secure success. And if you climb long enough, fast enough, high enough, maybe you'll finally feel like you're enough. But Jesus says, you already are.
James and John walked away from security to discover purpose. Marcus walked away from prestige to discover presence. Not because achievement is wrong, but because ambition without calling is just exhausting. The question isn't whether you're successful, it's whether you're building a life that actually matters. To you, to the people who love you, to the God who made you. Because at the end of your life, no one will care about your titles. They'll care about whether you were there, whether you kept your promises, whether you chose love over ambition when it mattered most. The greatest success isn't reaching the top of the ladder. It's realizing you're on the right one. So ask yourself, what ladder are you climbing? Where does it lead? And most importantly, is it the one Jesus would choose? Because the most important career decision you'll ever make isn't which promotion to accept. It's which life to build. What would Jesus do? He'd climb the right ladder, even if everyone else thought it was the wrong one. Discussion questions for groups. 1. What ladder are you currently climbing? Where does it lead? 2. Whose definition of success are you using? Yours? Your family's? Society's? Or God's? 3. If Jesus asked you, what are you building? How would you honestly answer? 4. What promises have you made that your ambition is compromising? 5. Who in your life needs your presence more than your provision? 6. What would choosing the right ladder look like for you this week? 7. What are you afraid of losing if you stop climbing the ladder you're on? 8. If you knew you'd never be promoted again, would your current work still satisfy you? 9. What does success actually mean to you beyond salary and title? 10. What would need to change for you to say, I'm climbing the right ladder?